be settling. We're going to be in we're going to be in Cabo starting in January, so we'll be down there for 4 months, which will be great.
Nice.
Yeah,
That would be awesome. Good time of year
yeah,
to be there.
be a great time to be there for sure. Yeah, we're excited. We're really excited to be down there. Let's see here. All the thousands of note takers just popped in here, but I got some
Of
people popping
course.
in as well too, right? How's your holiday going?
Fantastic. Well, I've got this is my last day of meetings for the year. So,
Oh my
in
gosh, so
fact,
we're your last meeting.
this is my last meeting of the year. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Well, let's get rolling here. We got a bunch of people that are messaging me. Some of them are like, I'm trying to get there late. So as people come in, we'll let them pop in. But I just want to honor
Yeah. And
your
just
time.
real quick, we're doing this presentation style rather than interview style. Is that
Totally.
right? Yeah.
Totally.
Good.
Yep. I'll let you rip it. Totally.
Okay.
I'll do.
Cool.
hmm This is great. Yeah, so I'll let some of these folks in here real quick and we'll start rocking and rolling. There's a few that'll be coming in a little bit later, but just yeah, we'll just rock and roll with
All
it.
good.
Cool, cool. And let's see, I'll let a couple of these people's note takers in. The good students, so to speak. We got those, got Misties. Awesome. Cool, cool. Hi, Susan. Happy holidays, honey. So, some of the great people. Hey, John. Good to see you, buddy. Um, as we get started here, I'm excited to introduce Steve Gordon. Steve and I are in the Flow Mastermind together. Are we in another one together? I'm not totally sure, but
I think that's the one.
that's
Yeah.
it, right? And Steve's expertise is he is the go-to guy when it comes to creating your best-selling book, right? He's helped best-selling authors and million-dollar authors really get their books off the ground. And the amazing thing about doing books right now, people don't realize that is probably one of the most effective calling cards and business cards you can do out there. And it's so good to get your story out. Steve, I'm excited to do a book with you. I'm gonna let you get gripping on this. I've got such an incredible story. And I say that because all of you guys have incredible stories. John, I know part of your story is incredible.
Mhm.
And Susan, your story is incredible too. As these other people pop in, Steve, I'll let them in, but I'm just gonna let you take the wheel, my man. And thank you so much for being here. It's so good to see you.
Yeah. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate John, Susan, you guys being here. Because we have the benefit of a little more intimate group today. Um, we can be a little less formal with things. So,
Totally.
along the way, if you've got questions or things, happy to answer them. So I'm just curious, for the two of you, have you thought about writing a book before? Is this a topic that's interesting?
Yeah, John says
Yes.
yes, yes, totally.
Yeah.
Susan definitely has a book in her, 1,000%.
And tell me just really quickly, what business are each of you in?
Go ahead, John. Susan, if
Oh,
you want to, yeah, go ahead, John.
oh yeah. So yeah, I'm in the construction business right now.
Okay. And what type of construction?
I construct buildings and people.
Okay. All right. Cool. And Susan, tell me about your business.
Hi. So I am a speaker and soon to be author, I hope. But what I'm doing is I'm working with people to overcome judgment and things that have been holding them back for many years. I'm helping them break through and become a strategist to elevate their life. Um, and yeah, in a
Okay.
nutshell,
That's
that's what
awesome.
it is.
Okay. And you say soon to be author. So do you have a book already in process?
So I started a podcast which came from me collecting stories about people's resilience, some of the judgments that they had faced, either as a child or as an adult, and how they overcame that, but what it held them back from doing in their lives, because they believed what people judged about them.
Mhm.
And I have all of these stories collected and have not done anything with it yet because I started the podcast instead. Hence,
Okay.
Sammy and Ray.
There you go. There you go. Well, you're in a good place. All right. Well, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk you through a framework. I've taught this now to I don't know, probably 4 or 5 thousand business owners all around the world. Um, and this is the framework we use with our clients every day to help them get their genius out of their head and then use it effectively to grow their business. So we're going to talk about how to write, publish, and promote a best-selling business book so that you can use it to land clients. And I'll show you a system that we've developed that'll help you do that in 90 days. And the key thing with a book is that you unlock this totally new level of credibility that is hard to get in any other way, and authority and status and recognition that comes from it. If you've got podcasts, you know the level of status and recognition and authority you get from that. And having had a podcast for 7 years and done hundreds and hundreds of episodes, that's fantastic. But the ultimate sort of top of the authority ladder is a book. It's not a coincidence that the word authority starts with author. And so you need to have all of these sort of tools in your tool belt. So we've already kind of answered this question. It sounds like most of you have thought about writing a book at some point. And what we're going to go through today is really unique in today's world. I'm going to share with you a way to attract clients that's worked for over 100 years. This is not the latest TikTok, like opening hook that you need to use. It's not the latest Instagram trend. This has proven effective for, again, now over a century.
Thank God, Steve. We're sick of trends.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Like, I'm exhausted. This is the anti-exhaustion marketing plan. All right. And I always like to open with this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes from the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And the question is, what's the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? And I like to think of this as kind of like knocking down the first domino that makes everything else happen. My goal for the time we have together is for you to walk away believing that writing a book is the one thing that's going to help you grow your business. And as we go, I'm going to share some examples. I always kind of put this warning up there because they're going to be examples that are going to be different businesses from yours. And everybody wants to go, oh, my business is different. Well, it is. And the best way to innovate in your business is to go see what else is working in somebody else's box and bring that back into your box. And that's how you think outside the box. So I ask that you have a little bit of an open mind as we go through it today. As I said, I've shared these strategies all over the world with thousands of business owners who are now authors. And you see some of them there who have taken the genius that's in their head and they've put it into a book and they've used it to grow their business. So a little bit about me. Again, my name is Steve Gordon. I'm the author of 5 books, and I've built 2 businesses. In the last year alone, we've created 131 authors, and we've been fortunate. We've been featured in media all over the place, and I've been a recognized leader in AI and marketing over the last couple of years. And so what you see there is my latest book. It says free copies available at the booth. Unfortunately, no booth today. Sorry. But if you would like a copy, I'm happy to send you a copy of it. So when I started business, like most people, it was sort of 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And you feel like, yeah, I'm making progress. And just when you think you got it, you regress a little bit. And at the time I was a single dad. I was my current wife and I had just met, and we're putting families together. And honestly, she saw like entrepreneur as like my job, and she's like, "Oh, that means you're unemployed, right?" And so she was probably a little bit nervous. I was scrambling as I was growing this new business and doing everything that I could think of to attract clients. I did direct mail. I hired stay-at-home moms and I paid them by the piece to stuff envelopes for me and hand address envelopes to do direct mail campaigns. I did Facebook ads. I networked my butt off. I spoke. I mean, you name it, I did it. And every time I'd look online, there'd be a new way to get business. And so I'd go try it because I needed to get business. And I don't know if you've experienced that, but after a while, it's not only exhausting, but because you never get deep enough to master any of those things, you feel like a failure, and that really kills your confidence. And so I was given a talk like this on a webinar to a buddy of mine who had a business in the UK, and I was speaking to all of his clients about this referral strategy that I had been using that had worked really well, and I was teaching my clients. And he said, "Hey, that's the best thing I've ever heard on referrals. You really should write a book about that." And I was a little bit embarrassed because I didn't want to tell him I had tried to write 2 books and I got stuck. Both of them ended up going in the garbage. And I was just at that moment just super frustrated because I looked around at all of the successful consultants in my field in marketing, and every one of them had written not just 1 book, but usually multiple books. And I knew that that was a big unlock, that if I really wanted to grow the business, I was going to need to do that. And yet I tried and failed twice. And so I'll never forget sitting at this table. My wife and I just got married. We were sitting at a table we inherited from our in-laws, and it would rock back and forth as I would type on the keyboard. And I'm sitting there just totally frustrated. I can't get this book done. So I finally said, "Look, honey, I'm going to the office on Saturday. I'm not coming back until I've outlined this book in so much detail that I can't go wrong with it." And so went in on the following Saturday, created a roadmap for writing the book. And by about 4 o'clock that afternoon, I had it. And so I was able to get that book outlined in a day, create a roadmap that now is largely what we teach clients to do. And I was able to write that book in an hour a day over the next 35 days. What had been a 2-year struggle and 2 failed attempts all of a sudden flipped into 35 days and I had a book written. And now I had all my best ideas packaged up into a book. And something magical happens when you do that. Before that, I was running all over town. I was networking. I was going to conferences and events, and I was taking all of my ideas, putting them in the most expensive package possible myself. And I was taking that package and shipping it all over the place and using it to sell people with those ideas. And when I had everything in a book, everything flipped. The ideas now could go out for me and they could sell people on working with me. And I instantly got leverage that when you get it, it's mind blowing. Because now you can sell more effectively to 1,000 people than you were doing one-on-one before. Because it's more effective because you show up as the one who wrote the book rather than as a salesperson. Same ideas, different positioning makes all the difference in the world. So I had the book done. I need to launch the book. I start reaching out to all the people in my network, and I'm just totally shocked and grateful for the excitement and the willingness that people in my network showed when I said, "Hey, I've written a book." Like, people were genuinely wanting to help me launch it, unlike anything I'd ever promoted before. And so I had 15 out of my network, 15 people that were able to help me share it during the launch week. That's not a big number. I share that with you so that you understand it's not like I've got all these amazing connections. It was just 15 people when I launched that first book. I had absolutely no idea what to expect. At that point, um, small business doesn't even describe it. I was a 1.5 person consulting firm. I had a part-time assistant, not even a full-time assistant. I only had clients here locally. I live in Tallahassee, Florida. If you don't know where Tallahassee is, I don't blame you. We don't have a beach or a mouse, so nobody comes here. And, you know, I've got local clients. Nobody knows me outside of this little town. We're the 11th largest market in Florida. It's not big. So we launched that book, and those 15 people helped me promote it. And in the first week, 5,268 people all over the world got a copy of my book. I went from being a 1.5 person consulting firm in Tallahassee, Florida, to now getting inquiries from all over the US, from Canada, the UK, Europe, Australia. I mean, it was just insane. The book became the #1 best-selling business book on Amazon. It was an international bestseller, and just the impact was totally mind-blowing. My business doubled that year, it doubled the next year, it doubled the year after that. It's done nothing but grow ever since. Over the last 11 years since we launched that book, I still get clients to this day every month from that book. That's the power of writing a book and becoming an author. And I want to share with you a few comments from one of our clients, Mike, about his experience in writing books.
Hi, my name is Mike Koenigs. I'm the author of AI Accelerator. The subtitle is How to 10x Your Productivity, Clone Your Smartest Employees, and Monetize Your IP in the New Economy. Now, I'm going to tell you, first of all, the most powerful thing you can ever do to grow your brand is to write a book. And the situation that caused me to work with $1 Million author and Steve Gordon in the first place is I wanted to get my AI book done in time for Peter Diamandis' Abundance 360 conference. And sharing it with that audience was a huge opportunity for my business and my fractional AI company. Now, time was really tight. And when I met with Steve and his team, the conference was 23 days away. Now, if you'd ever go to somebody and say, hey, I need to write a book, a really good book in 23 days. In my case, this is my 19th book. And in the past, almost all of my books, other than my previous 3, were all done 100% by myself. I had no one supporting me. I was in a situation where there was no way I could get it done without getting support. And what happened with Steve is, number one, he said yes to an impossible deadline. Number 2, he was on it right from the start. He was extremely proactive. He anticipated the obstacles, and he knew how to deal with someone like me who is, let's not just say easy. I've got a complex voice. I speak to very high level clients and customers. And you can tell right away if something isn't written like me, just because I'm kind of bold, a little bit brash. And what was great about it is they made it happen. They made it easy. Steve and the $1 Million author team delivered the finished book to the printer in 13 days. Out of all 19 of the books I've written, 18 of them have produced $1 million in revenue in less than 100 days. This one produced over $1 million in revenue in less than 30 days. So again, I think what's really important is anytime you're writing a book, what's really valuable, what's really important is get it done fast, get it done right, and get it done in your voice.
Mike's awesome. He had great results, and I think he's exactly on point. You want to get a book done quickly if you're going to do one, and you want to get it done in your voice. And when he says get it done right, really what that means is make sure that it's an accurate representation of your ideas. And when you are able to do those things, it can be an absolute game changer. And fast is the key part there, because I see business owners take years to get a book done when they do it on their own. And the value of all of the lost opportunity along the way. And I look at it 2 ways. One, you're losing out because, you know, every year that you don't publish it, you're probably missing out on, you know, high 6 figures or multi 7 figures in revenue, depending on your business and your business model. And all the people that you could have impacted, that you could have helped, that aren't going to know about you because you didn't get it out into the world, are going to lose out because they're not going to get the solution that you really could bring to them that they need. So I think getting it done quickly and and making sure it's in your voice are super important. So let's talk about what needs to go into your book. So I want to share with you 3 secrets that we've uncovered over the last 15 years doing this, that are essential, we think, to being successful with a book. The first is what I call transformation, not textbook. And this is all about how to design what goes into your book, the content of your book, so that when clients see it, they can't wait to hire you. And secret number 2 is then how do you take that and how do you launch it into the world so that people are lining up to work with you, and that we generate almost immediate ROI on the investment to create your book. And then secret number 3 is what we call the AI omnipresence advantage. And this is all about how to take the content in your book and use it so that you can be everywhere now to the people that you want to be a hero to. All right, so let's dive in. Secret number 1, transformation, not textbook. Now, again, this is all about what should go into your book. And I get this question all the time. It's like, I've got all these ideas, but I can't figure out how to organize them. And I don't know, exactly the way to say it all. This is the roadmap to be able to do that. And I'll share with you how we found this, because we sort of stumbled into this. I had a client come to me about 7 or 8 years ago, and he had already written his book. It was an award-winning book in his industry. It had won 2 literary awards from the leading magazine, like the industry trade publication in the industry. And yet he was just as frustrated as he could be because he wasn't getting new clients from a book. He had written this book, it was recognized, he was getting invited to speak at some events, but it wasn't converting. And he wanted our help in marketing it. And so I got the copy of the book, and I started looking at it. I was comparing it to similar books in the same niche that we had written. I was comparing it to bestsellers in his niche, and I just was scratching my head. I couldn't figure it out because it was a really great book. And it finally dawned on me. He had written an almost 400-page textbook that gave details of how to implement everything that he did.
Ugh.
And the problem with that, the reason that it wasn't working wasn't that it wasn't good, because it was legitimately good and award-winning. It was that his target client, which was a C-suite level head of sales or revenue at a large corporation, didn't have time to read 400 pages. They didn't want to learn how to do what he did. They just wanted to understand how it could impact them. And when I looked at that and compared it to things that we were producing for clients, we were writing what we call transformation books. So we were showing the transformation that's possible, and revealing enough of the process so that they have trust in it. But we weren't giving them the 400-page textbook, because that just puts people to sleep. So I urge you, you're an expert at what you do. The number 1 trap experts fall into is writing a textbook, because you think sometimes you have to prove how smart you are. And the reality is that your prospects aren't looking for you to prove how smart you are. They're looking for a leader that can lead them through a transformation, because they're in pain right now. So the 4 parts of this framework are transformation A to B, unique mechanism, the bigger, better future, and best case, worst case. So let's break each of those down. So transformation A to B. This is the beginning and end point of our transformation journey in the book. So if you think about your book as this storyline, we need to know where we start the story and where we end the story. And so the starting point, point A, needs to be the pain or the problem that your ideal clients are faced with. Because if you don't start there, they are not going to connect with the book. And most people make the mistake of starting with either their superhero backstory of how they became the amazing, person that they are, or they start with their solution. But neither of those mean anything to someone who doesn't know you, because they don't have context. And so we start with the problem, because that gives context to everything else. And then point B in our story, the end point of our story, is what is the future going to look like after you've transformed that problem for them? What does it look like on the other side? And so we want to put stakes in the ground for here's where we're going to start the story, here's where we're going to end the story. Then we need to connect those 2 points with your unique mechanism. That's the 3 to 5 to 7 high-level steps that you take someone through to fix that problem. And so I like to kind of describe this as the yellow brick road. You know, in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy lands in Oz, she's got a problem. And so all of the citizens of Munchkin Land, where she lands, you know, see the problem. They know she wants to get home. They tell her, okay, the solution is you have to get to Oz. And how do I get there? Well, you follow the yellow brick road. That's what we're setting up here for our clients and our readers in the middle part of the book. This is the meat of the book. And again, we don't need to give them the textbook for how to do it, but we need to give them enough so that they trust that you have a plan to help them. Then as we get to the end of the book, now we want to, you know, just like in the movie, if you've ever seen The Wizard of Oz, you know it's black and white almost all the way to the end. But then just before the end of the movie, they arrive at the city of Oz and it goes from black and white to color. And they're standing in front of this jeweled emerald city and it's glistening and it's amazing and beautiful. And it's like everything is right with the world. We want to paint that kind of vivid picture of what life is going to be like after you help someone and let them see that, because that's going to draw them to working with you. Finally, last piece, and this is maybe the most important piece, and we usually put this in the conclusion of the book. We recap the best case scenario. We just showed them that bigger, better future, and we sort of recap that. And we want to put that right next to the worst case, the status quo, the consequences of not taking action that they maybe know about, or some of them, maybe they don't know what those consequences are. And we want to educate them on that. And that's going to build trust, but it's also going to create what we call emotional contrast. It's going to create some friction there for the reader. And we need that little bit of energy to be created so that they take action. Because if they don't take action after reading your book, everyone loses. You lose the client and they lose the opportunity to have the solution. And we don't want that. We don't want this to just be a passive reading.
Hey,
Oh, that was
Alex,
nice. And put it aside. All right, now, really important. I get asked all the time when I'm giving talks like this, but what about my topic? Won't it be too boring? Who would read it? And so I always like to share the story. This is actually our longest running client. We've written 3 books for him. He was our very first book client way back almost 15 years ago. And his name's John Curry. He's a financial advisor. And he came to me for book number 3 and said, hey, buddy, I'm super excited. I started off this business in life insurance and I want to write a book about life insurance. I was like, you want to do what? Are you crazy? Nobody's going to read that. And so we went back and forth a little bit and he persisted. And I said, all right, well, it's your money. We'll help you write the book. And so we did, and we wrote this book. It's called Life Insurance, the Essential Financial Tool Everyone Loves to Hate. It's part of his Secure Retirement Methods series. And I got to say, I had to eat my words because he launched the book to his database of about 5,000 people. And within the first 2 days, 52 people had requested a copy of his book on life insurance. And I about fell out of my chair when he called me and told me that. And he invited those people to come to a webinar much like this on the topic of life insurance. 37 of those 52 people showed up to that webinar. 11 of them booked appointments with him to talk about life insurance. And I think almost all of them bought expensive whole life insurance policies. These aren't like the $99 things you hear advertised on the radio. These are policies that usually people are spending 5 figures a year on. And so it's a very profitable exercise, just that one promotion of this book. That was about 3 years ago. He has promoted it repeatedly since then. I don't know, he's probably made $1 million or so off of that book at this point. And what I want you to get out of that is that if your topic is slightly more important than death and insurance, and slightly more interesting than those topics, you're going to be fine. You don't have to worry about it. People will read it. People who are interested will read it. John said authoring a book has been one of the best investments he's ever made in his business. His clients love giving his book out as a way to refer people, because if you think about the business he's in, it's really taboo. We don't like to talk about money with our friends. Especially we don't like to talk about their money. That's usually frowned upon, but they can refer him just by giving the book. And so people who wouldn't have otherwise refer him like crazy because they can hand that book out.
That's amazing. Hey, I want to stop just pause you real quick, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Susan, Sandra, I know you're here. I think Allie just popped in as well too. Sandra had said something interesting. She's like, yeah, I started thinking about this book and it seems like a gigantic mountain to climb and stuff. Sandra, are you starting to see that this whole idea with a book is actually something that could be a little bit more palatable? Like, is there some ideas around the transformation and those types of things? And even Susan, I know you haven't even thought necessarily about a book yet. You're starting to see some of these connections. I love this, Steve, because you absolutely are hitting the nail on the head with just like what it looks like to um take the transformation that we are all sitting on and just like packaging that into a book. I want to kind of, oh, hey there, Allie. Pre-Merry Christmas. Good to see you. Steve, one of the things that I love that you've been sharing is this is exactly what I wanted to go into. Why do people not get started on their books? You've pinpointed all these amazing things. Um, and before you get into that, I'd love to hear, Sandra, what's one of the little takeaways you've had so far on this whole process, thinking about the book?
Yeah, I think that there is a part of the brain that wants to experience it at like as like a very hard thing to do. It's just like it's supposed to be this very thing that will give you merit because you work so hard on it, when the truth is that the it doesn't require you to, spend 4 years on it, especially not with the support that we have now in writing. And so, yeah, like that's really refreshing that it's less about the details and more about the motivation towards what people, towards guiding the people to the transformation that they desire versus like, let me put you through school kind of energy, which is very different.
Yeah, you don't get points for all the hard work unless you're hanging out in a writer's club.
Hmm.
And other very serious writers want you to, have suffered and slaved over it and struggled. You don't need to struggle.
Yeah,
The
and I've
point
done
is,
I've done a lot of those.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, so here's kind of the mission that we're on. Um, I I am very passionate about taking people who are amazing at what they do and they get real results for the people that they work with. But oftentimes when I find those people, they are the best kept secret in town and they're just hiding in the shadows. And my mission in life is to take that genius that they have and pull it out of the shadows so that they're no longer the best kept secret. A book is the best way to do it, particularly when you're in a business where you are the business. In a service business, you're selling yourself most of the time. And that can be a hard and uncomfortable thing to do. Most of us are taught not to go brag, growing up. And so it changes the dynamic because you're no longer promoting yourself, you're promoting ideas. And the ideas point back to you and reflect back to you. And so it's a shift. I can't even tell you, I get texts every week from our clients as they're launching their books. And they experience, we call it the author effect. It's like clockwork, and you can't explain it to somebody until it happens. But I get these texts like, oh my gosh, I shared that, my book was coming out with, so and so who I always really looked up to, and they were just blown away. And I gave them a pre-release copy, and they thought it was just the smartest thing ever. And you just see this confidence exude from them, and it's just awesome.
I love that. Yeah, that happens with the podcasting space too. We watch that with
Yeah.
people like, I just released this. I sent it to my friends. They didn't even recognize me. It's amazing. I love that. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Sandra. Great insight on that. Yeah, rock and roll with this. I'd love to hear like what does stop us from starting our books.
Well, yeah, I'm curious. I don't know,
Mhm.
Susan or Ali, if you've thought about it and what has, stopped you in the past, or is currently holding you back.
Allie, do you have a book? I feel like you have a book.
Been prophesied, brother, of this book of mine, but I do not have a book. I think what really holds me back is what I would write it about. So I do coaching for seven-figure women, but I also have like crazy testimonials of near death at 31 and then building a first business to multiple seven figures that was in a direct selling space. And then now my service to people is helping others build to that level while keeping their marriage and their kids and their sanity.
Mhm.
And my company's called For's Glory CEO. And so it'll be 3 years young this next year. So I do feel, Steve, it's like a good time. I just launched 2 podcasts with Ray and Sammy this last
Love it.
year. Filled and retained a mastermind. I have 4 little humans. I'm actually at school for half day pickup for the 2 older ones, or the 2 little ones are still here.
Man, takes me
So
back. I've been on so many calls in the past in the pickup line. We've got 4 as
right.
well. I get it. Yeah.
Oh, get it. I like you, Steve. Fab
Yeah.
4. So I think those are the things that are holding me back. But I do think 2026 my year, Steve, to get it out, because I do know it's such a gift. I love books. I love reading. And there's a lot of great things that are in this that could
Yeah.
help people just from experience.
Well, and I hear that a lot. Like, which I have all these ideas. Which one do I start with? And for a first book, the best place to start is the one that's most closely tied to your business that would attract people to it, because that's going to generate cash, and cash solves many problems, and it pays for lots of other book projects down the line.
So good. So good. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
That's the
you're welcome.
answer. Allie,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
yeah.
so funny.
Close to the cash. Close to the cash, baby. CC.
I love that. I love that Allie's is like, I don't know what I'd write about. And then I was like, dude, I don't even know how you have time for that. But that's what Susan's idea was too. Like, what's the time commitment? How do we do it with the
Well,
time?
and that's the other thing is that then that's the thing we hear the most, because we only work with businesses and business owners, and entrepreneurs, and so none of you have any extra time on the calendar, and we've built a system so that it doesn't really take that much time. I mean, we do most of it for you. If you can talk to us for a handful of hours, you'll have the thing done in 90 days. And we'll make sure of that. So yeah, that's why we exist, is trying to make that part easy. All right, let's keep going here. So you've got your book. Now we need to launch the book, because we need to get it out to the people who need it, right? And we want to do it in a way that creates ROI. I'm a big believer in, and it's not because the money is the most important thing. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's good to create it because it makes everything else sustainable. But I've seen a lot of people launch books, then they didn't have a plan to really maximize the ROI on it, and that not only stalled the business, they got really frustrated by it. And I like to create a sort of perpetually growing cash flow system around the book, so that you use it as the fuel to keep growing and expanding the impact the book has. That's really the only way to make it sustainable. We like to get ROI really fast. So we have developed a system. We call it the inverted viral launch. And there are 4 parts to this. The first is speed to money. The second is day 0 promo. The third is the Dream 100. And then the fourth is bestseller status boost. So let's break those down. Speed to money. Again, this is important because I think most people, when they think about book launch, they look at Oprah, or they look at ex-presidents, or they look at Dave Ramsey, and they look at how they launch books, and they go, oh, well, that must be how I do it. I need to get it out to 1 million people. That's great if you have Dave Ramsey's radio platform, or Oprah's TV platform, or you're an ex-president and everybody in the country knows you. If you're not that, then we need a plan that fits you. And so most of the people we work with maybe have some audience, but not always. And even the ones who have some audience don't often have millions of people in their audience. And so we want to make sure that whatever we're doing is creating ROI so that as you're investing in promotion, the money's coming back into the business plus a little bit so that you can expand that and it becomes like a flywheel. And so, we do that by sort of flipping the script. And I'll talk about a couple of ways we do that next. So when we work with a business on their book, we have a principle called Day Zero Promo, and this is just a screenshot of part of the marketing roadmap that we give them. And it starts before we put the first word on the page, because we want to start telling the world that you're going to write a book, that you are writing a book. And the minute that you do that, that you declare that, you elevate your level of status and credibility that people ascribe to you, because you may not know this, but 84% of Americans, when surveyed, say that they have write a book on their bucket list. So that means as soon as you say, hey, I'm writing a book, 8 out of 10 people, 8.4 out of 10, look up. I don't know how we do the 0.4, but you get it. They look up at you and go, oh, wow, I've always wanted to do that. You're so amazing. You're now the leader for them. And they, even though you haven't finished the book yet, they already see you up at that level of status. And that's really important. We want to capitalize on that as early as possible. And so we start all of our clients with a week by week, paint by numbers roadmap to make sure that they're doing that. One of our clients recently was doing that. One of the very first things we have you do is go put like an announcement post on LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever your audience is on social media that you're writing a book. And she got all of these comments back from like big important people in her industry. And she started engaging with them in the comments and scheduling meetings with them. Some of them were prospects, and she's got a couple of deals in the pipeline from it. One of them said, hey, I need to connect you with this guy, and he is high up at Apple. And so she got connected to Apple just by publishing that she was writing a book, and it was the perfect person inside their company for what she does. I don't know if they'll end up becoming a client of hers, maybe, maybe not, but she got the door open. They had a meeting. He was excited to meet with her. And so it positions you in this really unique way that's hard to do otherwise. So the second, or the third piece of this rather, is what we call the Dream 100. And this is really how we create very fast ROI for all of our clients. We have them sit down and make a list, and there's 4 parts to the list. The first part is a list of anyone who has inquired about working with you over the last 2 years. So anybody that raised a hand, expressed interest, but for whatever reason they didn't become a client, we want them on a list, because the minute the book launches, we want to get that book in their hands, because it's the very best way to re-engage them in a conversation. And a lot of those people, even though they didn't make a decision to work with you, didn't decide to work with anyone else either, they're still suffering with the problem. Now we're going back to them positioned as the one who wrote the book. And that's going to shake a lot of that opportunity loose. The second group are all of your current clients, because they're your biggest fans, and they hang out with other people who look like them who could very easily become clients. And we all have those clients who love us, but they never refer. And we have a whole system that shows you how to unlock those relationships and get them to share you through your book with all of the right people that they know. The third group are your past clients. And we like to segment that because we all have those past clients that maybe we don't want to invite back, but we all have a lot of past clients that we're like, man, we were really helping them for whatever reason. They either, got what they needed at that point, but, maybe there's new opportunity there. We want to go back to those past clients that we want to win back. And then the fourth group, and this one can have sometimes some real power to it, are all of the people in your network, the centers of influence, the referral partners, the people that you've met and you've sort of stayed in touch with, and maybe you've networked with. We all have those people who like what we do, but they don't quite know how to send people to us. And again, the book becomes a very easy tool to unlock all of that. And it's very simple to do. And so we have our clients build that list so that when we launch, we have a really targeted list to go to right off the bat that's going to give us a high probability of bringing business in the door within the first days and weeks that the book launches. And then the fourth part of this is the bestseller status boost. So as you all know, there are three major bestseller lists currently active in the US: New York Times, USA Today, and Amazon. If you'd like to be on the New York Times list, you need to have a mass market book. In other words, it legitimately needs to appeal to most humans in the country. And you need to be prepared to spend between $250,000 and $500,000 in marketing to sell enough books to get on that list. The second list is USA Today. Same thing, you need kind of a mass market book, and you need to be ready to invest about $80,000 to $100,000 in marketing to sell enough books to make it to the list. The third level is an Amazon bestseller, and Amazon updates their bestseller list daily. And it's pretty formulaic to get on the list. And so all of the authors we work with become Amazon bestsellers because we know how to work that system. All three of them are games. They're just different levels in terms of the game. But we want to get you at least to the Amazon list. And there's really not a big marketing investment. It's virtually zero to get there. And it can happen in a couple of days. And when you do now, every time you go speak before an audience, every time you write an article and get it placed somewhere, you're always going to be referred to as a best-selling author because you are. And so we want to make sure that we create that along the way. Now, this is one of our clients, John Philippe. He's a consultant down in Houston. Launched his book on a Friday. It went live at like 8 a.m. on a Friday morning. He was all set with his Dream 100. He started sending out to his people that the book was live. By about 11 a.m., about 100 people had purchased a copy of his book that day. One of them knew a business owner who was launching a business who was like a perfect fit for John. And so the fact that he launched the book reminded that person, hey, I should connect the two of them. And was able to connect them, and not just connect him as, oh, you should meet this guy, but hey, I know the author of this new book that he's got this system that would be perfect for you and for your new business. So they got connected that morning, ended up meeting for lunch. John walked out of that meeting on the day of his launch with a $38,000 contract for new business 5 hours after the book went live on Amazon. That's the power of what we're talking about here. That's the power of having a book. He's our current record holder. I'm looking for replacements. He went on in the first 30 days just by sharing copies of his book with people that he was meeting with to add $115,000 in new business as a result of the book in the first 30 days. It's not that difficult to do because you're positioned in a totally unique way. All right. I know we're getting close to time, so we're going to go through this last one. Secret number 3, the AI omnipresence advantage. This is something that we've developed over about the last 18 months. We call it Be Everywhere Now. And really, this is about 4 things. It's about the new rule of marketing. It's about being everywhere now, the consistency trust equation, and the AI authority multiplier. So let's talk about this new rule of marketing, which I always say the new rule of marketing because very few people seem to know it, but it's been around for like, I don't know, 11 years or something. Or maybe 13 years now. It's called 7-11-4. This came out of a study called Zero Moment of Truth that Google did, I think, way back in 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been around a little bit, but I find a lot of people don't know about it. And really what it says is that the average buyer today, before they ever reach out to talk to you, has spent 7 hours with your content across 11 different interactions and in 4 different locations. And of course, Google was primarily looking at online activity, but I think this applies both online and offline. And so if you think about that, if you have a book and they read your book, That's a couple of hours right there over probably at least a half a dozen interactions, and one location in the book. But the book gives you a really unique advantage because now you have all of your best ideas and you've taken the time to clearly articulate them and write them down and put them in one place where they're easy to find. I don't know about you, but I mean, ideas come in and they go out, and sometimes never to be seen again. But now you've got all your best thinking and all the stuff that really gets people attracted to working with you in one place in your book. And now that can be leveraged in all of your content everywhere else. And so if you're serious about trying to build a system and a universe where people can have that 7 hours of content interaction in 11, different interactions in 4 locations, which might be your YouTube channel, your book, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever it is, you've now got an easy way to make that happen and actually get it off your plate and give it to a team member to do for you. All right. Second piece of this is be everywhere now. And again, we want to create the appearance, not for the whole world, but for the people that we're trying to be a hero to, that we're everywhere. We call it omnipresence. We want them when they go on YouTube, we want the algorithm to show our videos to them. So we have to have some videos. We need content and topics for that. When they go on Instagram or LinkedIn, we want that. We want to be able to go speak. We want to be everywhere that our ideal client is looking, so that when they look, they feel like, man, this, gee, Sammy, I can't get away from Sammy. He's in all my feeds, And that creates this level of familiarity and trust that is really amazing. And, a lot of times we get frustrated at the algorithms and all of that. But if you think about the power that we have available to us to build trust and relationship with someone at scale, it's pretty amazing. But you got to have the content. Now, this next one is super important. We call it the consistency trust equation. And I see a big problem with the way most professionals use social media. They treat it like, if I come up with something, I'll post it. Or if I happen to have time, I'll post it. And what happens is they're really inconsistent. And that's a problem. And so, years ago, I was the CMO for the largest consultant to the banking industry. And part of our marketing was a magazine. Every quarter, we produced a magazine for the industry, had articles and ads and all kinds of other stuff. Of course, the ads were all for for that company, conveniently. But we produced this magazine. People loved it, and they expected it to arrive every quarter. And for that to happen, we had to build out a complete calendar. We would know exactly when the articles had to be done, when the cover design had to be chosen, when the headlines had to be picked, when the ads had to be done, so that we hit on somebody's mailbox and on their desk when they expected it to happen. Because if we didn't do that, we broke trust with them. And if you're very inconsistent with social media, you're breaking trust with your prospects, and they're noticing. Conversely, if you treat it professionally and you have a calendar and you have a rhythm and you're publishing consistently, they're going to notice that too. And the more consistent you are, it doesn't mean you have to be very frequent, but you have to be consistent and stay in front of them. That's going to increase trust over time. And again, it's really hard to do if you're looking for the inspiration of the day or the week or the month. But if you've taken all of your best ideas and you've packaged them in a book and you've gone through a process to really hone that in, you now have an infinite amount of content, which brings me to the fourth piece of this. We call it the AI authority multiplier. So, whenever I'm trying to figure out what are we going to put on social media, I just, right behind my desk, I just grab this. And I grab my book and I flip to the table of contents, which you see on the screen there. Because I don't need to reinvent the wheel anymore. And I can talk about these same topics in an infinite number of ways and from different angles and different perspectives. I never am at a loss for what to share. And that is a competitive advantage in business right now. And I'll tell you the other piece of this, AI is a fantastic tool. We do not use it to write books. I recommend you not use it to write your book. We've tried, and it produces subpar writing in that kind of long form. But you know what it's really good at? It's really good at taking your book once you've written it and helping you pull it apart and write social media content in your voice because it's coming from your book and using exclusively your ideas, not making stuff up. And so you get this great multiplier that other businesses that haven't written a book don't have. And I think that's going to be a competitive advantage going over into the next few years. All right. So if you've got a book, then you'll want to scan this. I don't know if we've had anybody here that does have a book. Sometimes I'm talking and we got people in the audience that do. This is what we call the endless idea generator. Even if you don't have it, scan it anyway and save it. It's a GPT that you can drag and drop a PDF of your book into, and it will give you an endless number of angles to write about from your content. Not making stuff up that it thinks you should write about, but from your specific content. So it's super powerful. Now, why do you want to do all of this? Well, Hinge Marketing, which is a marketing firm that focuses on professional services, they studied the firms that created authority content, and they found that those firms got 40% more leads when they did that. This is from Financial Advisor Marketing Trends, again, looking at professional services type businesses that we're all in. And they found that the folks that were doing authority content were actually getting 168% more leads and 50% more clients as a result. I don't care what the numbers are, they're all bigger, right? They're all pointing in the same direction, that if you do these things, you are going to lead the market and you're going to be more successful. That's why we want to do it.
My name is MC Lobsher.
This is another one of our clients, MC, and
firm based out of Newtown, Pennsylvania, that services clients in all 50 states in the United States. The phase where all my intellectual property was drawn out, I actually, with the help of your team, discovered another asset that I have, and the title for the book. I did not have a title for the book before I started working with your team. So I wanted to get a book written, but I didn't know that the very title of the book was going to come up during the process. The way that we had the conversations in creating content for the book drew out a lot of intellectual IP that I had in there, but I've almost forgotten it, but it was nice to get it out. I've already noticed in my interaction with existing clients and with prospects that I'm being perceived differently and being perceived as an authority in my space. Within the first 2 weeks after launch, we're positioned to recoup the full investment.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I share that just because this is all about taking your genius and figuring out how do we get it out of your head and do that in a way that'll be really compelling for the folks that you want to help. Now, I've got one more tool for you. This is a tool we built. As I said, we don't use AI to write any of the books that we work on, but it can be a helpful tool in getting your ideas organized to begin with. And so this will take you through a series of questions. It'll help you build kind of a high level book outline at let's say the chapter level, not down in the details, but it'll at least give you a start at how to organize your book. And so if that's something that would help you at this point, please scan the QR code. Now, I know we've been through a ton and we're about out of time. I don't know about you, but every time I'm on a presentation like this and we've tried to cram as much in as we can and in the time that we've had, it's a little bit like drinking from a fire hose. And so, Sammy, we've set some time aside to meet with folks from your community. If it's okay with you, I'd love to share where they could meet with one of our book strategists and just talk through their idea, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, there was the link you put up, I think went to that Calendly link. Is
Yeah.
that the one that you meant to put up? Because I think there was one strategy thing. Is that the first one? Time for your next. So there was one that went to the Calendly, $4 million, your $1 million
Yeah,
book.
this should be it. Did one of the other QR codes go to the calendar instead of the?
It did, yeah, yeah. So
Okay, yeah. I'll follow up with you and I'll get you the links to those other tools. You can share them with everybody.
yeah, we'll share those. Steve, thank you so much. Ali or Sandra, do you guys have any questions? I had one question I wanted to ask you, but I know Ali's got the littles in the car now. And any questions for Steve before he signs off?
Thank you so much, Steve. I got the big Sammy. I got 14 and 11-year-olds. I got
Oh.
Gnomes and Anna.
No littles.
Oh man,
They're
Right.
old now.
middle school time.
Yes, they just had finals for junior high.
Okay.
Just Anna. Steve, my question for you is, when you are kind of wanting to like see what the best route for you to do your book, do you take your own methods and like frameworks that you know have been successful for you in 13 years and kind of put them in like a chaptered methodology, and then key a book around your methods, so to speak, as opposed to there's so much storytelling that I enjoy in books that you can kind of drop in there too, but it might not necessarily get people profit immediately. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, we want to have stories in there, and interspersed in the book, but you're going to have the most success if you're revealing a little bit about the journey you're going to take them on and how you're going to help them. And then the stories are supportive of that. And I get asked all the time, oh, should I do one of those Patrick Lencioni, fable books? Those are super hard to pull off. Unless you're just already a great fiction writer, they're very hard to pull off.
Yeah, no, definitely not a fiction writer. And I love reading books that actually challenge me and are going to change my business. That's why I
Yeah.
enjoy them. Yeah, the autobiography, my life is pretty wild and that's fun, but that's not going to A, bring anyone into the business. B, it will probably get them closer to Jesus, but which is bigger than business to me. But
Well, hey, we're down to help with that too. We've done a bunch of books like that. So, and it's interesting. I always like to think about more than one book as a business owner. I mean, here's the thing. When we work with a client, in fact, I met with one of our clients, actually MC that you just saw. He and I met yesterday to get kicked off on his second book. This becomes a capability that you have, and you're like, oh, it only takes me 90 days to crank out a book. I have this great new idea. And I love doing the book on like the autobiography type stuff as a secondary, like the second book that you do, because people are really, they come to you because of you and who you are. But you need to show them the system first. And then, imagine at some point down the road, you're sending them this great new welcome package and it's got both books in it. And so they really get to know who you are as a person and how you can help them. That's a powerful 1-2 punch.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I was gonna
So
say that's
good.
a great 1-2 punch. People stay because they like. That's what I found with our company too, Steve. People
Yeah.
come for me because they like me, but they stick around because it transforms them. So,
Totally. Yep.
my little question for you, Steve, too, is there Mike has his AI accelerator. People have different product price points and things that they do from the book. This might be kind of a loaded question or maybe a follow-up, but do you find that there's a good average? You said people are recouping the cost of the investment of doing the book. What is a good starting point for a product and or something that's the back end of the book that you see as the most effective or most useful?
Yeah. So we work with clients who on the low end have, maybe a $5,000 offer. And on the high end, I mean, we're working with one client right now who, their average ticket size is like $600,000. So anywhere in that range.
Got it. That's a sizable range. I love it.
It's a sizable range. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Steve, anything else you would like to sign off? This was amazing. I took so many notes. I have like a stack of like, oh my God. But so thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to close with?
No, I just appreciate the attention. Allie, thanks for hanging in there, even in the carpool line, and for the other folks who were on earlier. Great
Yeah.
to meet
Yeah,
everybody.
Susan and those guys have all messaged me. That was amazing. Thank you so much. We will send this replay out to you guys too that are watching the replay at home for our inner agency group. And yeah, I'm very excited. I was thinking about doing my autobiography, and you guys kind of know mine. It's crazy, but does that transform people and put bills in their pocket? Not just an autobiography until I can show them what's in it for them. So that really helps me kind of bookend, pun intended, figure out what I'm doing.
Yeah.
With that's great. Well, Steve,
Yep.
have a great Christmas, buddy. So good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you guys. So much love, and give our big hug to all the bigs in the car. And Steve, so good to see you, buddy. Talk to you
Likewise.
soon.
Talk soon.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thank you.